Mr. Savage was the best solo player in the world back during Chapter 2. He won loads of cash cups as well as won the major DreamHack Anaheim LAN that loads of players attended from around the world, and he proved that he was the best solo player. And now that we're back to that meta, he's already on top. He just dropped a 27 kill win in finals, and I'm breaking down his full strategy, everything that he does from early game, mid game fighting, every small tip and trick that he does along the way, as well as how he wins the game and the updated meta for this current season in this long and very intensive video for you guys. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed, and let's get straight into this with where he lands. First things first, for Osborne, Mr. Savage is landing over at the Grotto, the new one that just got added in, and I would say this is the best spot. He also does a very nice strat, which is landing at the very top of that windmill, picking up a floor spawn, and then immediately flying over and actually W-keying the other player that's landing here inside the main section. So instead of having to go for a full loop path and run into this guy later on, instead he's able to just jump straight onto this player and prevent this guy from popping any shield, and he's able to take out the other player, contesting him straight away. And as soon as he takes this other player out, look what he does, gets all the loot, and immediately kills Eminem. And right now, you can actually, in comp, hire Eminem and he joins your team. He doesn't actually spray people or do anything too useful, but it's very distracting when you're fighting people and you've got an NPC that's running around shooting and throwing nades for them. Now, the main benefit if you do this strat is you're able to take out Eminem straight away, and now you can open all of the chests without having to put a disguise on, as you can see, and also none of the turrets and none of the bots will shoot you or aggro you at this POI, which is insanely good. So instead of having to worry about the bots and getting distracted by them, instead Mr. Savage can hear this other player, he spots him sneaking through the vault, and he's able to go ahead and get a free shot, and of course the minigun is absolutely broken when you're doing fights. You can basically just spray through anybody. And now, immediately he goes ahead, blocks off the vault, refarms it all, swaps to the pump as well so you can upgrade later, and he's going to go ahead and get this ideal loadout for W King, which of course the gold spans from the vault, and then 6 minis, 3 bigs, as well as the campfire. The main benefits of these vaults is you can get campfires, you don't have to run medkits, and of course you want to be running the grappler. It is the best item to be carrying at the moment, especially in solo finals, since it is the best mobility. Now let's go ahead and get into some really useful W King tips that Mr. Savage does. First thing he does to close the gap towards his enemies is this very useful thing with the grappler, which is instead of grappling forwards where you can easily get sniped through in the air, instead he grapples straight down just like this, and then slides and then presses space straight away. You get like a little bee-hop effect like that, allows you to cover distance very, very quickly. Then he grapples towards the opponent and immediately does the grapple cancel, which I made a video on in the past, but basically all you're doing is grappling and then pressing your shotgun bind before your grappler connects, and this means you can pump while grappling, so you've got your pump out rather than just being in the grappler animation. And now he's going to go ahead and do this really nice play that I want you guys to learn. This is so good in this current season. What you do is what he does here. You spray the wall till it's low, bait out the pre-fire, and then you hold the wall just like you did there. I'll show it back from the enemy's POV. So from the enemy's POV, they're expecting you to get onto their wall, and they hear that you're getting sprayed, and look what happens. Pre-fire, and he breaks his own wall. So Mr. Savage gets the wall down to 1 HP, stops shooting, and then he's able to grab the wall. And of course, now all he does, waits for the guy to reset his cone and tries to go for a timing shot, and now he just chases him with a minigun and takes the opponent out. That pre-fire baiting technique, guys, is genuinely so strong, especially in this season when everybody's got the pump, and it's really useful to do. In case you guys missed it, me and Resub just dropped the brand new Fighting Masterclass. There is over 150 different lessons that you can learn from, as well as over 20 different pro players that will be teaching you loads of secrets that they've kept locked for a long time. Featuring pros like Bolts, Visuals, Cam, Aviv, loads of different ones like Muzz, Vico as well, and Pixie. There are so many players that you can learn from inside here, and an insane amount of really useful content that you guys can use if you want to level up your fighting game and become a pro level fighter. Go check it out now, and if you're lucky and there's still a timer when you click on the site, there is a load of extra bonuses that you can get when you sign up, including the first earnings blueprint, which is really, very useful if you want to get earnings this season. The key issue though when you end fights like that is, of course, you're going to get third party very quickly by other players nearby, especially since we don't Cypher at the moment, makes third partying really strong. So Mr. Savage is very good at dealing with third parties. First thing he does is he pops a quick mini so he can get some HP back up, and then does this very nice crosshair technique. He gets those double extended cones over the wall right here without having to expose himself, and almost catches this guy off with a shot, but doesn't quite work out, and he immediately just makes loads of space. And watch how he makes this space right here. He uses brick backward stairs to be extra protected, and because he's backward staring, it forces this other player that's W King Savage to come onto the wall from this, you know, sideways angle. The guy can't approach from above since it's double layered the whole way through. He also can't really approach from any other direction. He's forced to approach on this right-hand wall right here, which is what Mr. Savage wants. And what he does is he tries to wait for a pre-fire as the guy goes to edit. This guy's actually pretty good and smart, so he did a right-hand window rather than a full edit. Normally that would catch most people off. And Mr. Savage immediately resets the safety wall and double layers it, which is really, really important. You guys need to double layer whenever you've got a low HP wall. The next thing he does is super, super useful. What would you guys do in this situation? There's somebody on your wall right here, and Mr. Savage is obviously low HP, needs to try to get big off. Instead of trying to heal up straight away or make even more space, since he's already built loads of space, what he does, just a side jump, just takes high ground. This means he's in control of the fight. He's the one setting the tempo of the fight. He's the one doing counter peaks on the opponent. And it just means that he is the one controlling how this fight has been played out. Luckily for this other guy, he immediately does a nice little height take, as you can see. Mr. Savage does a backwards ramp again, and this is when he sets up a really nice counter peak, or almost sets up a really nice counter peak. And this is one thing I want you guys to learn as well. So you can see this other guy's jumping straight in, and Mr. Savage almost does this very, very nice top right hand counter peak to get a shot on the guy, but he messes up his edit. And this is one really important thing. Whenever you mess up an edit, don't just sit there and flop about with it. Just hold out your shotgun and keep an eye on what the opponent is doing, because they're probably noticing you're messing up edits and they're just going to jump straight in. That's what happens here. And Mr. Savage, lucky enough, is able to get a shot off. This guy hops straight in and starts 50-50, and because Mr. Savage got that shot off, it allows him to turn around and one pump this other opponent. Of course, you need to get that chip damage, especially when you're low HP and somebody's pressuring. You need to get one shot off so you can one pump them, and you add that little bit of risk. If they were to jump in your box, you can hit that one pump, which is what he did in that situation right there. Again, not the cleanest fight ever, but whenever you're low HP and you're getting third partied, you need to know how to very quickly play defensively, and Mr. Savage is really good at that, which we'll take a look at in a second here. The next thing he does is go ahead and buy even more bigs from vending machines, and I think Reese has already done a video on this, but vending machines, guys, especially the blue or the purple ones, which are the most common types, are so good, and you should always be buying heals from them, like slurpfish, like bigs. They are insanely good value. Careful though, if you're buying a vending machine like a pad from a purple vending, it gives you the throwable pad, not the inventory pad, which isn't as good. This next fight is an absolute masterclass in how to play defensively when somebody's pressuring you. So Mr. Savage gets hit at the start of this fight, gets hit down to 143 HP. So what does he do? He pops a mini straight away, and he baits out the other person to W King him. Instead of going ahead and getting straight on this guy's walls, where it's all his control, he's the one, you know, with all the edits, he's the one with all this escape options and things like that. Instead of doing that, all Mr. Savage does is he baits out that he's low HP, which, you know, he is, he just got pumped, but he doesn't pop his big, which is really important, guys. Stop popping bigs in fights until you hit the other person and you get counter damage off on them. And all he does is looks where the opponent is, so he's trying to like track him through the builds right here. He's looking what builds is the opponent placing. Is he telegraphing that he's going to drop down? Is he placing ramps? Is he placing cones? What's he doing to get on my wall and pressure me? Is he smacking my top, for example? And also, where's the guy's footsteps going? This is such an easy thing you can do. Look where somebody's footsteps are going. If somebody's footsteps are moving from here to here, that means they're going to drop down right there, which is exactly what this guy does. And Mr. Savage, nice open edit, cones the guy, hits him for 100, and doesn't risk it, right? As you can see, the other guy's been hit for a lot of damage since you out-traded, and all Mr. Savage does is now he's going to pop his big since he's got that counter damage off. Very simply, 5 seconds to pop his big, doesn't get interrupted at all, and he goes ahead and pressures the opponent. As you can see, this guy hasn't made a 2x1, he's only now making a 2x1 when he's getting pressured, which is the wrong thing to do. You always want that 2x1 set up nice and early, and of course, all Mr. Savage needs to do is spray this guy, and he's going to get a free kill with the minigun, since the guy was in fresh builds. It is that simple, guys. Defensive fighting is so simple when you watch players like Mr. Savage, because they make it look so easy, just by doing little simple things, waiting for the opponent to drop down, immediately opening an edit and catching them off guard. Is that simple when you do it correctly. Now for the rest of this mid game, it's basically Mr. Savage running around bullying people with the mythic minigun, which is actually quite fun to watch, but it's not too much to be learned from, apart from this one thing that he does the entire time whenever he's fighting. Whenever you guys are in an inbox situation, so let's say right here, Mr. Savage, as you can see, he's getting on the wall of this guy, which is normally quite risky. He's pressuring as he does it, so it's a little bit less risky. The guy can't do too many edits, and he gets to this point right here where he has HP advantage, but he's in all the guys' edits. And there's not really too many things you can do here, apart from just trying to ping replace the wall, or just trying to jump in, which again is a little bit risky. So Mr. Savage, being the really smart player is, being Mr. 200 IQ, what he does is thinks ahead. What is the most likely edit this ladies magnet guy can do in the situation that is, you know, safest for him? What's the most probable edit? And because this guy's low HP, because he's not just going to do a full 50, you know, top throw edit and try to line up a backs, especially because he's only got a green pump, always think up what guns your enemies are holding. What Mr. Savage does is thinks what like edit he's likely to do. And I'll just pause for a second. What edit do you think this other guy is going to do, guys? Just leave it down below. And to me, it's super obvious because I've watched, you know, hundreds of hours of fighting VODs while I was making the fighting masterclass. It is so obvious what smart players who qualify finals would do in this situation, which is the bottom right edit. And Mr. Savage knows this as well. He knows this guy's going to do a bottom right. And look at his movement. He moves to the right, gets out the way of this guy's shot, and also jumps. So he's in the guy's character model. Completely impossible for him to get hit. And this guy immediately starts panicking. Mr. Savage gets into the box, as you can see, and then just bleeds through the builds to take out his opponent. And there's really not much the other guy could do. When you're getting red like that, and the opponent knows exactly what edit you're going to do ahead of time, there's really not much you guys can do to, you know, prevent somebody just getting in your box in those types of situations. And that's what makes Mr. Savage such a smart fighter. Now, let's go and take a look at how Mr. Savage was able to win this game. I'll talk a little bit about the meta for solo cash cups, especially in this crazy meta where there's grapples going off, there's all sorts, there's lots of mobility. It's very hard to hold high ground. How does Mr. Savage actually do it correctly? First thing that he does is he invests loads of mats into this initial first moving height hold, and he's not actually doing this mat investment to try hold height. He's doing it so he can get a kill, right? This is the best position in the lobby to get a kill because he has so much visibility on other people. There's very low risk to him up on here because, you know, he's not like he can get pre-edited or jumped on something, for example. He'll hear it if something is going to happen. And he's on the front side of zone, and basically everybody has to rotate past his vision to get into zone. And he's going to pick a target or pick two targets and try to kill them, which is exactly what he does here. He's waiting for these people in these high layers on the backside of zone to come towards him, and he's going to go for a kill onto them as they come over. And this is actually a really nice play that he does. Drops out the player, gets the kill, but as you can see, he doesn't greed the loot, especially because he gets jumped on as he tries to drop down for the loot. He immediately gives up the loot, knows that it's not worth, you know, risking trying to jump on loot when you're low HP, especially because other people who are grappling are going to see that loot. They're going to try to go for it. Might not be edits that are secured. There might be somebody sitting in a cone, for example. He doesn't want to risk going for that loot. Instead, all he does is uses that campfire that he got earlier at the vault, and he's going to go ahead and heal himself up. And he also looks for another kill at the same time, which is exactly what he gets. This type of positioning where you invest mats into a good position on front side first moving, everybody's going to be grappling past you, allows you to get so many kills, and he's able to get 2 just at the start of first moving, and now he's completely stacked up. Stokes the campfire with 30 wood, goes ahead and scouts out height, and this is when he does a really nice play that I think you guys should learn from, is before he rotates, he clears a path ahead of him, as you can see. He's making sure there's nobody looking at him. He's checking, you know, what's going on. Is there somebody up on height ahead of me? And this allows him to clear the path, plan his rotate as well very nicely. And it's something you guys should always be doing, just making sure you know what you're doing before you leave your box and before you do your rotate. As you can see, somebody starts fighting him. He just takes his time, boxes up, and this is really powerful in endgame, just pausing for a second, letting people take height ground, for example, and then immediately going ahead and doing a flank onto this player with a grapple. He does the grappler cancel, just like earlier, where you press your shotgun bind as soon as you shoot your grapple, and is able to go ahead and take height. And now he's established, and of course, with that refresh, that double refresh that he got, or only one of the bodies he got, he's in a really dominating position to win this game, and he's already got 20 kills as well. Now, this is where I think Mr. Savage actually makes a couple mistakes. I'll talk about this later on when I do a full sort of solo how to get your first earnings type video, but he plays high ground really, really badly here. You do not want to play high ground on low layers this season. You want to be playing height, max ulti, spraying people, pressuring people. I know he's just trying to get kills, but you do not want to be playing height like this because it's so easy for you to get grappled on, to get awareness checked, especially when you're 150. You can die so easily doing this. And this is exactly what happens here, is somebody chops him because, you know, he was building fresh builds, he was only single connected, and of course he's getting grappling on the entire time. If you're playing a low layer on height, people are just going to grapple and use you to actually rotate, and if you're doing that over and over, they're going to try to go ahead and go for, you know, kills on you as well when you're up on height. It's a very free refresh if you do it correctly. Now Savage is going to start trying to go for a refresh because he just used a lot of mats on a high ground that he wasn't able to hold, and he does this really, really intelligently. Gets in his cone and pumps somebody at the start of their grapple. So when their grappler just connects, they're like paused in the air, he gets a pump onto the player, almost gets the full box, and now he's very patient. He doesn't just run and, you know, start smacking on this guy's wall. Instead, what he does is make sure he's actually a little bit protected. I know that might not seem like he's very protected, but he's actually somewhat protected because he's getting into the box, into the guy's old builds, and then immediately blocking his angles from the other player, and he's chasing down the guy's skin. If you guys wear a skin like this or any type of skin that's super recognizable, you are going to get hunted endgame when you get hit low. And Mr. Savage does a really nice play after getting that refresh, is knows this guy is going to be trying to go for the loot. Look what he does, open edit and just one pumps the guy, genuinely super clean, immediately gets all the mats and then gets straight out the box and continues on of his running through this endgame, which is immediately going back up for height and trying to go for a high ground chop. And personally, I don't think you should be chopping height this season as well. I know I just said about you shouldn't be playing high, low layers or whatever, but you shouldn't be doing backside chops like this for height, because it plays into the high ground player's advantage instead of one, you know, with the range advantage, the pump falling down on you. And you can see it's what happens to Savage. The builds break, he gets pump full HP, and he's forced to play mid ground, which he's insanely good at as well. So let's take a look at how he plays mid ground here, and plays it nice and slow. So the first thing that Mr. Savage does when he's playing mid ground is he plays directly underneath height. You don't want to be playing mid ground, for example, like way over here where height can pressure you and shoot you very easily. You're going to be trying to play underneath height. So as this guy builds into zone up on height, Mr. Savage, as you can see, is sort of directly below the player. It's very hard for this guy to shoot straight down and press Mr. Savage, even though he just hit him low and he knows that he's probably second height. So you can see he's not getting pressure at all, allows him to just heal up. And this means as soon as he gets his HP up, he doesn't focus on, you know, the max distance rotate, because the issue of going front side here is there's no builds. There's nobody that he can really go to without high ground looking at him. So instead what he does is he pauses, blocks off the player below him, and chops out height. As you can see, height's only held up by wood. And now the high ground player has no options. Either he grapples and goes back in storm, which is just not realistically an option. Most people don't have the whites for that. Or he has to jump down and grapple. And this is the big mistake people make. Whenever you chop out height, you need to go for damage, because they can't pump straight, or they can't pump as they're going down. They have to be trying to time that grapple as they drop. They're trying to be connect and not take full damage. Either they bounce her and they're way up in the air and you can just get a free beam and a free kill, or they're going to be doing this, which is grappling down. And then even now, if they do the grapple cancel and pull that shotgun, this is a very free kill for you, which is exactly what Mr. Savage gets. He gets the free kill and immediately takes high ground backside. Make sure to go back and get all of the hard mats, as well as the fresh grapple. If you guys didn't know, whenever you kill somebody in solos or duos, whatever, and you actually get that instant kill, you get a fresh grapple, which is really important that you pick up during moving zones. And now he's going to go ahead and start pressuring and trying to hold height. And this is actually when he does, again, another bad height hold. I don't know why he keeps doing this. I'm sure he's better at solos than me, but he keeps on just giving up the good layers on height. And he does the correct thing, which is playing right side height. But the issue of this is he's way too low down for something to just grapple straight on, and also he's just way too visible for other people in the server to look up. You want to be, if you're on height, you want to be super high up, ideally backside, pressuring people, not letting anybody trying to grapple up onto you. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you get beamed, and the other guy just grapples straight onto you, and you can't look back. However, this guy gets absolutely shit, I'm not going to lie. Look what Mr. Savage does. He does the pre-fire as the guy breaks the wall. So this guy doesn't do the technique that Mr. Savage did at the start of the video, where you get the wall 1 HP and bait out the pre-fire, which would have got him the win, probably, if we're being honest. He would have got 3 med kits, loads of mats, and a fresh grappling minigun. He would have won the game if he did that technique, if we're being honest. Instead, Mr. Savage gets the pre-fire and then does the diagonal piece. Look at this piece. The side piece, the wall, the full edit, and the swing as well. So he's completely not visible. Make sure he's perfectly behind the wall, and is the perfect Ryan peak onto our player. And of course, that's going to help him win the game. He gets a massive refresh, and he does actually a nice play here, which is not playing height straight away. He lets other players play up on height while he full heals up and while he just tarps up. And instead, just like earlier, he's playing underneath height. He's letting the players fight and grief themselves, and he's just going to play mid ground and go for height later on. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at how Mr. Savage wins this game. First thing he does is this very, very nice height chop. As you can see, other player is way too high up. You don't just want to sort of 50-50 at this point in time. Instead, he does a height chop and immediately looks for damage back on the opponent. And this guy, I don't know if this was the correct call or not, but he made the call to shoot rather than grappling, and there was nothing for him to grapple onto. And instead, he just grappled straight into a tree, and he died, as you can see. And Mr. Savage makes a really, really good call right here, which is to not heal, and instead prioritize grabbing the mats while he can before they go into storm, which is so important. So many people forget about picking up the siphon mats or whatever from the person they kill, and instead immediately pop minis. Mr. Savage doesn't make the mistake. He bots 1 minis, and then goes ahead and immediately now full heals up when he's got loads of mats, and he can safely sort of do this max tarp up on height. And those few builds that he picked up right there are going to save him in a second, as you can see. He's left in this very awkward situation. As you can see, he sees loads of footsteps backside. He knows people are healing off early. Right here, you can see people healing off early, way back, and he knows he's in a 1v1. So what he does is he decides, okay, I'm not going to 50-50 up on height. That's not super smart when there's other people in the game. Instead, I'm going to play low ground, and I'm just going to play this for the final situation. You don't want to fight straight away in these type of situations, because of course, being low HP, you're just going to die to the next person that fights you. So what he does, I would say this is a good round peak, but this guy, the Unicorn Scum, is just a little bit too goated and hits the left-hand peak with the pre-fire. And now Mr. Savage plays this insanely well. Look what he does. Pre-builds, blocks off all the angles, and the only time Mr. Savage actually does an edit on this guy, who is, you know, obviously just trying to hold his pump out, he's got no mats, the only time he does his edit is when the guy has delay. And you can see, The mantle gives you pump delay. The guy gets caught pulling out his pump with that long delay, and Mr. Savage now edits and now gets that kill. So smart by him, waiting for the guy to mantle and then editing so the guy has the delay and can't shoot him back. Now he's left in a 1v1, and I actually really like how he plays this. He doesn't faff around playing early medkits, which just isn't going to work, because the other guy can just pressure you or jump on you while you're popping early medkits. And he also doesn't faff around popping minis, which I think a lot of people do in these situations, which is really stupid. You should not do that. Instead, pop your whites early so you can use your whites to run back in Storm and play from back in Storm while you're having this fight. And he knows it's going to be a fight. It comes down into a 1v1 here in a second. The other guy dies to the Storm. And now he knows he has to take this 1v1. And he does it really, really confident. He doesn't faff around. He just edits the guy down and just trades a pump. And he knows, because the other guy was panicking, he's not sure where Mr. Savage is. He's not looking in the correct place. He knows that he has to just take this Angel. He's obviously got no bills to protect himself. And he immediately just takes the Angel. Other guy misses his shot. And you could say the other guy missing a shot was fairly lucky, but I think that wasn't luck at all. When you take an Angel like that, and you're the one instigating it, and the other guy's not ready, it's never really a 50-50. It's more like a 70-30. And even though he's super low HP, popping those medkits early rather than minis meant that he could play back in Storm, meant that the guy had the Storm effect. It's hard for him to hit shots, and all the rest of it. And it was a really nice game by Mr. Savage. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go check out the last one, where we covered the breakdown of the Fighting Mask class as well. Alright, in a bit, guys. See you later.